Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Inside the Distance podcast. I'm your host, GK The Fight Analyst, and this here is my man, Aaron J. What's up, bro? What's going on? How's it going?
What up, man? I am thrilled to be here. Glad to be breaking down fights again. I was once upon on another MMA breakdown podcast called UFC Addicts. The name I came up with still is the name, but I am no longer a part of it. So I'm Aaron, and I am ready to break down some fights with you, man. And so is my
definitely, man. I'm super excited to get some fights back in here. I know he left for the day. I'm just talking to everybody else over here, so. But, fights are back. We got some fights going on this weekend.
Yes.
At the UFC Apex. I'm just fired up that we finally got some fights after, just a week off.
Not just a week. It felt much longer than a week.
Yeah, I know, man. I mean, like, you're counting down the hours. You're like, okay, is this week over yet? Memorial Day weekend. You're like, I got nothing to do this weekend. I really want to watch some fights, get some bruising.
You're waiting for them to clear the fights. Like, you're still like, are they going to clear it? Are they going to have to find Arizona? Are they going to have to, like, all the things? And as weird as it is, now I'm glad that Jacare has happened because I'm no longer worried about what's going to happen if someone tests positive. Like, if they can figure it out. It's also been a couple of weeks since the first card, and as far as I know, there's no news on any fighters having any problems or any staff from the first event yet. So, again, the 2 weeks to wait, and we've seen, and they're also, I know we're breaking down, but the UFC is being willing to adjust, and now they're using throat swabs. So I think that's, they're adjusting their ways of testing here on the fly, too, to make it as non-invasive and as safe as possible. So I think it being in Vegas, it's made to be in Vegas. I think once they get it up and operating there, it's going to be money fights there for the next few months until maybe Fight Island.
I think it's going to be we got 4 weeks of fights straight coming up, and then what else we got? And I think Dana was saying something about they're going to have 3 to 4 fights back to back on on Fight Island, and he's going to stay on the island as well. So I'm thinking we get all the fights.
Fight weekend will probably be on Fight Island.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. It's looking great. Everything's looking good. Hey, Dave. Yeah, T Wood. We're going to get right into T Wood and Burns and the whole shebang. And I guess let's get down to it. Let's start on the prelims. We get the prelims going. Just please, T. That's
courtesy of my win from the Fight Cast last weekend on Fight Bananas, actually. So I unfortunately went against Walt Harris because I'm evil, and I was unfortunately incredibly correct. I said Walt Harris had 60 seconds, and he had 59.
You were. But he won. Okay, let's just talk about that real quick. He won that fight.
Well,
he got knocked down multiple times.
Yeah.
If you're gonna take Reem out of the other fight with Rosenstruck, you take him out of this fight here.
I was at that fight live, by the way, in DC. But yeah, I mean, it's tough because I could have understood a stoppage there, if I'm being honest. But I mean, Reem, he rocked it, man. He won the round. So it's hard to him and stop.
Yeah,
if I would have bet on Walt, I would have had a hard time seeing how it wasn't stopped. But I don't think I'm just using bet goggles here. But I didn't quite envision Reem getting hit that much and that hard and that cleanly. But I think I said about 100 times once I saw the weigh-ins, which is why I often like to wait on making a lot of bets. But when I saw Walt Harris coming at 264.5, look at first of all, his Twitter name is Walt Big Ticket 205. He came into UFC at light heavyweight, and now he had, I'm sure, a few emotional meals over the last few months. And he came in at 264.5, and he did look a little bit. And he's 36 years old. He's not a spring chicken, and it's big for a guy who should be coming in at 240. So especially with heavyweights, you got to see how they come in. You've seen how Alexei Oleinik looked lately, and he's in the best shape of his life. And look at him. So it's it's a huge factor. So, but yeah, that was a crazy fight. Seems like it was yesterday. Yeah, it seems like it was 2 months ago. Like everybody in life right now, time is weird.
I know. One day feels like forever. One day feels like forever.
I know. We're still 3 days away from these fights, and I cannot wait for them. And there's pretty much no card that I will see that I won't be excited about. The cards that look great on paper, fuck that shit. These guys all have a ton to prove. Sorry about the language. I'll keep it to, minimum here. But, it's like these guys all have a ton to prove. And they're all hungry. No one's trying to protect their spot and not lose it here. Even at the very top when you got Tyron, who you hear him on I heard him on Ariel today. The focus question, throw it out. He's focused. Dean Thomas, he wouldn't be working with him otherwise. Dean isn't working with people who are distracted, but just overall.
He's still working. They're still working together.
Yes, they are still working. Dean's out there currently. Shout out to Dean. Okay. Great dude. I think that for Tyron to take a fight against someone like Gilbert Burns, there's nothing for Tyron to gain here. Nothing. Correct. And this dude is so dangerous. He's not kind of dangerous. He is so dangerous. So, anyways, I'll let you take the reins here. I'm excited to be back talking about fights on a podcast. Thank you for having me. Thanks for anybody.
Of course, man.
This is going to be a ton of fun.
No, I'm loving it. This is what we live for. Fights, breaking these down, making some money, cashing these checks. Cashing out the ticket window. Let's get down to it. Right now, on the prelims, we start in the bantamweight division.
I think it's actually going to be at featherweight. I think they agreed to fight at.
They're fighting. Oh, okay.
According to Tapology, it's 45.
Yeah, it's 45. Okay, so up to 45. Because normally they do. No, I think they are featherweights.
No, they're normally.
My bad.
No,
okay.
Yeah, you're good. Don't trip. Yeah, but they are.
Yeah, okay. Because of the whole pandemic, they're going up in weight and they're fighting at featherweight. Fight between Chris Gutierrez and Vince Morales. Right now, it's a basic pick 'em -110 across the board, 50% chance of winning. Who do you got in this one?
When I was originally making my picks, it's before we learned about the octagon being used for these events, and it is a 25-footer for these events. So at first, Gutierrez was I believe around -150 or so, pretty decent favorite. And then when they made the official announcement on the octagon size, it has gone down to a pick'em. And basically, with Gutierrez, you got a guy who likes to kind of get in and out with leg kicks. Doesn't have the biggest killer instinct in the world, but he's again a really I think underrated defensive wrestler. His offensive wrestling not where he's going to get it. He is coming off a knee surgery, so that is one thing to be considered.
Yes, that's very huge. I think that's huge going into this fight.
Yeah, especially with a guy like Morales, who's so about pressure and not technique. I mean, this is not going to be a kickboxing bout for Gutierrez. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be pushed against the cage. I think both guys do have experience in the 25-foot cage from the Contender Series, if I'm not mistaken. I know Morales does. So I am this is one of the picks that I switched on. I was originally on Gutierrez, found out about the smaller cage, and listened to some interviews and learned about maybe some of his rehab and different things like that. And it's just coming off knee surgery, it's tough for me to bet on him here. I definitely see an avenue for him to win. I just see a more likely and more outcomes for Vince to win. I do see it going the distance, but I got Vince by decision.
Yeah, I'm riding that wave as well. I like you said, once I found out the cage factor, it changed a lot of these fights for me actually, because the people the fighters that look to stay on the outside, they're not going to be able to that well against pressure fighters like Morales. Morales is coming forward and he's going to throw volume. If you look at the numbers, he throws 12.41 strikes per minute, which is almost double the strikes that Gutierrez throws per minute, which is 6.64. All right, I know Vince doesn't have that great of accuracy at 39%, but that usually comes with the volume. You throw a ton, you're going to only land, anywhere between 30 and 45%. and which is good because he's still landing 4.84 strikes per minute, which is great for this kind of fight in a small amount and a small cage. So I don't think those kicks are really going to be devastating. I mean, he went against Benito Lopez. He took his leg kicks, and he
Zahabi's brother, who's a great kickboxer, Ayman Zahabi, the fight before that.
True. Yes, very true.
And he went to a decision with Yadong Song, who who lost to Marlon Vera, but that's another story.
Yes, he did. Yes.
I was all over Marlon Vera too.
I was on Marlon Vera big, and when that happened, I was devastated. Like, I was legit.
And they said it's the worst when it's those robberies where they say unanimous decision, so you relax because you're like, okay, there's only one person this was a unanimous decision for. Split maybe, which I hate that argument always too, but like there was only one person who won a unanimous decision in that fight. But either way,
that's what I'm saying, man.
A lot of times the matchmakers make the right decisions in moving forward, and will treat Vera as also winning the fight. Hopefully that happens for him. I'm a huge
I hope so. Fan, me too. And that was a big bummer for him because that was the fight to really skyrocket his career. And he was chipped out of away.
He'd had injuries. I mean, and he'd been on fire too. And that it was an unfortunate, but yeah, we agree on our first pick ever. That's nice.
Yeah, I know, right? The first pick together, and we agree on Vince Morales. I like it. I do like the decision there as well. That probably is a good plus money prop.
Yeah.
Next up, I believe they're fighting at 135.
Yes.
Is between Louis Smolka and Casey Kenny. Right now, the betting lines are Casey Kenny on minus 270 favorite, and the comeback on Smolka is a plus 230 underdog. Who do you got in this one?
So right when I saw the odds here, I don't know if I'm just not the biggest Kenny fan or what it is, but I was shocked that he's one of the biggest favorites on the card. I do have Kenny, but I'm not betting him very much.
Yeah, I don't think you can at this line.
See there being any. The only bet I see here is a dog bet on Luis getting a finish inside the distance. I think that's the only way Luis wins this fight. I don't see any way that Luis is able to out cardio him and get a decision win in a small cage. I do think that Luis is very dangerous and has a lot of ways he can finish a guy, even though he's not that fast, not that strong. He's a big, awkward dude who just will go for a finish if it's open. But I got Casey here. I think it's going to be – this is, I used to have a term called steak fight. I always have a steak for the UFC fights, and so this is probably the fight I'm going to be kind of cooking and watching the fight.
There you go.
Usually it's reserved for like a Sajara Eubanks fight, but she can't be on every card. So.
But I mean, I get what you're saying with Kenny. I mean, his style is not really entertaining. He's going to go in there. He's going to wrestle you, and sometimes throw some bombs, but and then. In Smolka, he doesn't really do much either. His defensive grappling is pretty atrocious at 34%.
The way it's really bad. Matt Schnell look was absurd.
I know. Yeah, that's bad.
God.
Yeah. I like Matt Schnell, but he made him look really good.
Made him look like a contender.
Yeah, he did. And I mean, Smolka has looked great from the pictures I've seen. It looks like he put on a lot of weight and a lot of mass for this fight, which is good for him. I see that he's progressing in that sense, but I just don't see what he can do to really win this fight. He doesn't throw a ton of volume. I think he only throws. Let me see. He's only throwing 9.17 strikes per minute. Kenny's throwing 8.48, so they're right neck and neck. He's only landing 4.22 strikes per minute, and Kenny's landing 3.39. Plus, the murderous row that Kenny has fought coming into the UFC is levels above Louis Smolka. You talk about Merab Dvalishvili, Ray Borg, Manny Bermuda is way better, levels better. So I don't see how Kenny's going to really lose this fight. Unfortunately, the line is way too steep for me to play him. But I think him by decision at minus, I think it's like minus
170.
120. It's 170?
I don't know. I was guessing, honestly.
Oh, I was like, damn. No, last I checked, it was -120, which is a reasonable price to pay on a fight that's 9 out of. I would give it probably 9 out of 10. That's going to go to a decision.
Yeah, and you look at
if Kenny's winning.
Yeah, and you look at the guys who Smolka's gone to decision and lost with. It's been guys like Ray Borg. It's been guys like Tim Elliott. Nicola, all guys who, the blueprint is out. And it's like, Smolka, yes, he's had a resurgence, but it's why you always got to look into who he's had the resurgence against. It's been against Tyron Christian Jigorgania, who was 0-0, against some guy named Tyson Lin, Kyle Estrada, and then Sumanjari. He armbarred a kickboxer.
Well, he's lucky that he has such a great manager in Jason House. And he's got a great team at Team Oyama that, that give him the opportunity to get another chance in the UFC, because he should not get another chance in the UFC after those 3 wins on the regional scene.
Yeah, but, he was an alcoholic who cleaned himself up, so the UFC can talk about that for 5 minutes before he comes out.
Yeah, right.
So we'll stick you on a prelim and you lose to Casey Kenny, who for some reason is still fighting on the second to last card. Like, whatever.
I mean, it's definitely a setup fight for Kenny to win, and to propel him in the 135-pound division.
They'd love to see Smolka pull it off, though. They'd love to see Smolka pull it off. Smolka's the kind of guy the UFC loves to have. He's never going to turn down a fight. They're all
that's true.
Exciting. He's got the story. People kind of know who he is for being a prelim, guy.
What I wouldn't be surprised if Smolka, does come out with a win here. It really depends on whether Kenny's gonna really implement his wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't shoot for too many takedowns, I don't know if he's gonna win the fight on the feet. I don't think he will.
Yeah.
But he really needs to start grappling early. Mm-hmm. And luckily the cage does help. Not enough real estate for you to really bounce around.
Yeah, not to sound like a broken record, but Casey also was on the Contender Series, so he has experience fighting at the Apex in this octagon. And he fought very well. He fought very well on it and got a decision. He doesn't care if he's boring the 5 people there either. Like, he's going to fight to be effective. If you're betting Kenny, I don't know why you're not doing a decision prep. I don't know how he's finishing Luis here.
Correct. I mean, he could catch him, but I doubt it. I doubt it.
Right. Of course. Everybody can catch everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's not the likely scenario here.
Way to bet him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Or if you really see a finish, I'm sure you're getting tons of plus money for any sort of finish. Huge plus money. So if you really feel
very true. Very true. Next up in the flyweight division, we have I think is one of my favorite fights on the entire card between Tim Elliott and Brandon Roval. I think I said his name right. Roval. Sorry if I got it wrong. But right now, the line is Tim Elliott -170 favorite, and the comeback on Roval is +150. Who do you see winning this one?
Okay, so this one I've done a lot of homework on. This one
I did a ton of homework on this one.
Number one homework. So Royval, there's a lot to like watching his tape, and there's a lot to not like watching his tape. He is
correct, absolutely.
And that is kind of the problem also. His striking is my real concern here, honestly, even against a guy like Tim Elliott. So that kind of says how confident I am in his striking. But, however, I am a huge, huge fan of a guy who earns his way into the UFC and has some losses along the way. I think losses early in a career are vital because it lets me know how you respond to losses. And each one of his losses, he's at least had 2 wins following, which I appreciate. Also, he is a champion in LFA and defended it. And I love a guy who defends fights. He has experience working for 5 rounds. He has experience preparing for 5 rounds. So a pressure guy who's going to try to tire him out like Elliott, that's not going to necessarily work here. I was thrilled when I saw this line. I think that this is way overblown for Tim Elliott, actually. I respect the level of opponent Tim Elliott has faced here, but I think Brandon has a huge opportunity here, and I see him taking it and getting a finish. I think he's going to submit Tim Elliott. I know that may be really surprising to a lot of people. I think
that's a great call. Great call.
I like this kid a lot. And when I looked into his resume, he's faced some decent guys. He went to 3 or 5 rounds with Casey Kenny. Somewhat recently, he submitted Joby Sanchez.
He's fought guys.
He's ready, and I try not to watch. Videos and get sold by him, but he has an amazing PR team behind him because both Chris Gutierrez and him, who fight out of the same team, they both had like the same kind of where they got to speak about fighting and speak about their mindsets. And I am blown away by this guy's mindset. I'm focusing a little more on him than Elliott because we know what Elliott is at this point. We know what we're getting with Elliott, and I think we're getting a lesser pick of Elliott or a lesser version of Elliott each time out here. And I see Royval increasing and getting better, and I think he's going to be ready for this. He's a killer. I'm thrilled it's an upset too. This large of an upset too. I really think Elliott is being overblown here. So
I completely agree with you.
I see a 100%. Complete method to victory, and I will be forthright with when I fall in love with my dog picks. I fall in love with my dog picks. So buyer beware there. But I do think I'm submitting, my pick for who I actually believe has the most ways to win here. And he's not going to be afraid to grapple with Elliott. And I think when Elliott is hesitant to grapple, he's not great. And if he's hesitant to grapple here, I think Royval has a real shot.
No, I'm 100% with you. I've been watching Royval for a while now on the regional scene. And I've always knew he had it in him to finally get to the UFC, and he worked his ass off to get there, and he has what it takes. I believe he's got 9 finishes out of his 10 wins. So he's going in there with a killer instinct. He has the fastest submission in LFA history in this previous fight coming into this UFC debut. It's just what he does is really good. But my only concern is when he likes to play from his guard a lot, and sometimes he just lets you take him down so that he can play from his guard and sweep, and that is troublesome against a good controlling positional grappler, which Tim Elliott is not. Tim Elliott is a volume grappler that will just let you get back up because he doesn't know how to hold position. He'll go to guard pass and get swept. He'll get guard pass and get, choked out. Something like that. It's just his head's not in the game. Yes, he has 39 takedowns in his entire UFC career, but he's also given up 30 guard passes in the process. 30 guard passes and 39 takedowns. You already know he cannot control position on the mat. So, and I just don't like betting on Tim Elliott. I like Tim Elliott as a person and everything, but his head is not in the game. I just if you ever watch or read his interviews, they're terrible.
Instagram, he takes a lot of weird baths with his kid who's not his kid. Just like saying
that's odd.
Facts.
And then on top of it, he's talking. I read an interview today that he hasn't been training at the UFC PI, obviously. So he's just been grinding it out in his garage and saying, I'm like, that's awful if you're trying to bet on this man. And people are overblowing his wrestling pedigree here. Yes, he has, the credentials. He's been a 2-time champion. And yes, I know all that. But, I mean, there's this
real effect on MMA odds I've noticed with a lot of different guys. I'm trying to think who it started originally with. The guy who I really noticed it with first was Alexander Gustafsson, who had his best performance in a loss to John Jones, and then afterwards progressively got overrated and overvalued as a favorite in all of his fights until you realize he was not that great. I think the same thing's happening with Tim Elliott. Same thing happened with Ray Borg. Everybody's like, remember that performance against Demetrius? Yes. Remember?
I know.
I don't like when people have their best performances in a loss. It's not my favorite thing. To me, it almost is like you're wasting your best performance because you lost. You don't want. And again, Tim Elliott had his best performance in a loss against Demetrius Johnson, and has been overrated for now 4 or 5 years. Whenever that happened, and I really think that these odds either way, even if Elliott wins, I like the dog.
Dog. See, your dog. That's why you like the dogs. But yeah, I'm totally with you. And we're talking about a fighter that, we're talking about a fighter that doesn't remember the last 2 rounds of his previous fight because he got knocked into oblivion in the first round. He doesn't recollect anything that happened in rounds 2 and 3 in his last fight. And if you watch that fight, he looked out like a light, like on his feet, and somehow he just didn't go out. That's toughness to him, but he fights like an idiot sometimes.
Yeah, and you carry those. Everybody only has so many shots in them. You carry those shots moving forward. I don't want to go off on a huge tangent. It's one of the biggest reasons I had a problem with Anthony Smith's non-stoppage a few weeks ago. He took off 2 or 3 fights by taking those shots there. And so it's like the same thing with Elliott. Those shots, they keep carrying over. And one of his biggest traits, that the cardio, the toughness, they're all getting less by the fight. And he's almost a 2-1 favorite right now. So I'm confused.
Which is crazy, which is just absurd. Yeah. And I see a lot of people on him, and I get where they're coming from. He's gonna take him down, but then what? Mm-hmm. He's gonna get right back up. Yeah. And then I think Royval's striking is a lot better than people give him credit for. He moves forward, throws some very fast, very quick, 1-2 combinations. His leg kicks are very good, and if he throws those leg kicks early, he's gonna stop the movement of Elliott. Which means and plus the smaller cage comes into factor as well. That awkward style of movement, that awkward footwork that he has I don't think is going to work very well in this fight. And I think just Royval is going to be all over him. And I do like that submission prop because of, I think, 3 or 4 of Elliott's losses are by submission, and 2 of his last 3 losses have been by submission as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Royval has a good bottom game too. So if he does get taken down, he's going to be fishing for that guillotine right away. Arm bars, he's going to be going for it.
And that's why I'm excited for this fight, because I think it's going to be scramble galore. It's going to be nonstop action. It's going to be off the walls, off the chain. It could be fight of the night, and then this man could finally quit his full-time job, as he was saying when he was having an interview with Mike Heck. He kept talking about quitting his full-time job. So I know what it's like to want to chase your dreams and live out your dreams. So kudos to him, and I hope he gets a bonus and gets this win.
Yeah, it's great.
With that said, let's move on to the light heavyweight division with a fight between Jamal Hill and Klidson Abreu. Right now, Hill is a -120 favorite, and the comeback on Abreu is a +100 underdog. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, this is another one of those fights that, when that little cage came into account, changed everything for me. Everything. And it's changed everything for everybody else, it appears, because Hill is plummeting. He's gone from a nearly 2-1 favorite opening up to now it's going to be a pick'em. He's going to be an underdog by the time the fights roll around, I think.
Probably.
And but as of right now, I have the dog Klidson, actually. And it's just based on sheer aggression, sheer desperation. I think that Klidson is more desperate than Darko, who, if Darko was more desperate, could have beat Jamal Hill, I think. And Jamal Hill's style, the body kicks, the staying on the outside, dancing, it's not going to work with this kind of cage, I don't think. And with the opponent he has, it's a big, lumbering guy in Klidson, who he's fought a lot of really good guys and finished some good guys. I mean, and Jamal Hill has 7 wins. And I'm sorry, but he's been dropped by Daquan Townsend. He beat him, but he was dropped by Daquan Townsend, who we've seen how fentanyl Townsend has done in the UFC. And I mean, he kept getting fights for some reason, but I'm pretty sure he's cut it. He's one of the worst guys.
I would assume so. I think so.
He kept showing up on cards. You're like, oh my God, Daquan's on another card.
Okay, fade him. Let's go. Auto fade. Let's do it.
Like, he's magical. He could make Deion Clark a 500 favorite. It's
bet it. I bet your mortgage on it. Let's do it.
Yeah, bet it. So, I think Klidson is gonna be able to connect on on Jamal. I think it's going to be an ugly fight. I just don't think Hill gets a lot of space in this one, and I don't see him being able to put it away or mix it up enough. Hill's just basically a good kickboxer from what I've been able to see.
Yeah.
So, originally, I was picking Hill to stand the outside and kind of dance to a decision. I just don't see that happening with the 25-foot cage, and I think Abreu needs this win bad. He had a win over Alvey, but other than that, I mean, who did he lose to? Lost to Gamzatov. I don't even know who that is.
He's some Russian fighter. I mean, he tends to just fight Russian guys. Hence why I think his nickname is Russian Killer or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, he's also beat guys like Nemkov. I mean, he's beaten some good guys before.
He beat Johnny Walker too.
Yeah, he beat Johnny Walker. I mean, he beat some guys who we haven't quite seen that version of him yet. So that is also maybe a kind of encouraging sign, is that we haven't seen a great performance by Klidson, and he's still 2-1. So I appreciate more when guys don't fight great and win than when they fight great and lose. So Sometimes I take more out of when you don't have your best performance and show up. So I'm going to take Klidson to get some kind of finish. I don't know what. He may get a sub. He may get I don't know. I think
if he gets a finish, it should be a sub. You would think.
Yeah, you would think, but maybe he positions himself and gets some ground and pound for the win.
That's possible too. That's possible.
Yeah, so
he's definitely gonna have much better top game than his previous opponents. Yeah,
so
definitely.
I got Klidson here.
Yeah, I'm probably have to lean that way. Unfortunately, I was very high on Hill before the cage because I love Hill's striking. He's striking so good, so fast, so crisp. He's got a 5-inch reach advantage. He's huge. He's 6'4". His head, his leg kicks, his body kicks, everything is good. I love his striking. Just his grapplings leads me to believe it's not going to get it done. Abreu comes forward, doesn't move his head a lot, but he's at least going to be in the pocket. He's going to be moving forward. He's going to push him against the cage. And once he gets against the cage, he's going to drag him to the mat. And once he gets to the mat, I think it's over from there. Yeah. He's not getting back up.
It was Ankalaev who smashed Klidson's nose, right? Four directions.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn, I don't know how he didn't.
Yeah, he beat the shit.
He's not finished. You should, if you're picking Hill, pick Hill by decision. I don't see him having the power to finish him.
And then I'm also looking at the Instagrams of Hill and Abreu.
Yeah.
Where the fuck is Hill training? I don't know where he's training at. I don't know what gym he's training at. I don't know who he's training with.
I'm from Hill's hometown in Lansing, Michigan. That's literally where I'm born and raised. I'm not there anymore. I live in D.C. now. But there aren't a lot of options in Lansing, Michigan. I can tell you that much. And there are not a lot of quality training partners. I can tell you that much.
Because
welcomed.
When I'm looking at it, I'm looking at his page. I'm like, who are these guys he's training with? I saw one picture with Walt Harris, but I don't know if he was really getting work in with him, and that didn't even bode well there either. You know what I mean? So very, very low gym that he's training at. And then you look at Abreu training at American Top Team, living at American Top Team, training with the best of the best at American Top Team. So the elevation, he's probably progressing a lot better than Hill, because I don't see any work on takedown defense from Hill, and any of the footage he puts up, it's all pad work. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see pad work.
Yeah, Klidson has I believe 20 fight. This will be his 20th fight coming in, so triple the experience.
Yeah, so he's got so much more experience.
Yeah, it's really
much better competition
in a small cage. It's really tough. This will show me. I think Hill deserves a top 15 guy if he gets past this. Honestly,
I agree. Because I feel like it's gonna be. He's gonna, if he wins, it's gonna be dominating. He's gonna win on the feet. He's gonna dominate on the feet.
Yeah.
And I think Abreu wins. I think he's gonna dominate on the mat. But I just think Abreu's
gonna be bigger. He's wider.
Yeah. He's gonna be stronger. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely take it Abreu here. And I know we lost a ton of value on him. I think we could have gotten him at plus 150, but even money plus 100 it's still good. It's still good enough. You're not laying the juice. Yep. I'll take him plus 100 any day of the week.
I like it.
Next up in the catchweight division of 150 pounds, we have Billy Quarantillo taking on Spike Carlisle. I think it's Quarantillo, right? Quarantillo.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Quarantillo.
Billy Q is what they call it. Well, his shirt said in DC. They all said Billy Q.
Okay, so we got Billy Q at minus 135, and the comeback on Spike Carlisle is a plus 115. The ginger, right? The alpha ginger.
The alpha ginger, yes.
The alpha ginger. So, what's your take on this one?
This one, like, there's always a couple fights where I'm afraid to see the odds, like, to look at the odds, because I anticipated that Carlisle was going to get shot up after his crazy performance against Elon Cruz. But he's still an underdog. So hang on one second. My dog is barking. So you break it down real quick. Let me take care of him. Sorry.
All right, I got you. All right, so break it down this one. I've been a big fan of Billy Q. Been watching him for quite some time on the regional scene, and he's a tough alum as well. So he's been in there with some really, really good competition, and I just think the levels of competition that Billy Q has fought compared to Spike Carlisle is night and day difference.
Yeah. And
from what I've seen, limited tape, obviously, because he fights on the regional scene, hasn't fought any big promotions either. From what I've seen, at least in the Cruz fight, doesn't fight well at distance. Yes, he landed that head kick, but Cruz sucks at blocking, apparently. You're talking about he had a massive reach and he doesn't block a head kick. That's besides the point.
He didn't block nothing. He used his head to every strike.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know what he was doing out there, but at least Cruz was landing. But he wasn't blocking anything. So I didn't get anything after that. And I think people are putting a lot of stock into, he's got power. I didn't see the power, really. He was throwing elbows up against the cage. I mean,
he couldn't. It still didn't knock him out. It got him down, and then he flashed rabbit punched him.
Yeah, it was donkey punching him. Mm-hmm. But it's just I just don't know what people are seeing in him to place money on him. I haven't seen anything on the regional scene other than he's gassed out in his only fight that went 3 rounds. He was legit gassed against Fernando Padilla, who's also a great striker as well. So I just don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it. And I think Billy Q is better everywhere. I think he's a crisper striker. He's way better on the mat. He's got really good jiu-jitsu. And I think Billy Q is going to make Spike work. He's going to make him work for defending takedowns super early in the fight. I think he's going to wear him out against the cage. And I think he's going to gas him out within the first 2-3 minutes of the first round. And then he's going to take over and take him out with a submission in the second round. That's what I got there.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, that is my dog Chico. He's been on a lot of podcasts. Usually he's much better than them. He's a little reactive tonight. The quarantine's got him, some type of way. But anyways, I agree with a lot of what you had to say here. I really like Billy's skill set. I also, again, broken record here. I like early failures in a career and showing that he could come back from, got on to the Ultimate Fighter, he lost, and then went on to regionals, was on to regionals probably longer than he should have, but again, to be here. And these guys who stay on the regionals a little bit too long, they, I think, end up overachieving in their careers. I think it's a huge reason why Gerald Meerschaert has had such a successful career. I think if he would have rushed his way into the UFC, he would have been out a long time ago. But he got 30 fights, and he learned how to kind of go through the adversity, fight guys better than him. Same with Billy Q here. I think Spike Carlisle has, you said it, 3 minutes. I think first round is the only round Carlisle wins. He's shown some cardio issues moving forward in other fights. He has some amazing finishes. He's a Nico Price kind of guy, though. And Nico Price kind of guys lose a lot of fights once they get to the big, he'll win a lot of fights up in the UFC. I think he's going to lose a lot of fights in the UFC. He's going to lose to guys like Billy Q, who are like just better everywhere, well-rounded, not relying on one type of skill set or one type of way for the fight to go. I think even if I could see Billy getting dropped within the first 2 minutes, honestly, or get taken down, put it in a bad position, working his way through it, and then by the second round cruising. This is a good one to, if you're into live betting, I think live bet, because I think that Billy could lose the first round and still definitely pull out a decision or finish. So he fought Jason Kilbourne in his debut in DC, and Jason's a great fighter as well. And looked really impressive in that fight. Got the submission in round 2 after having some adversity in round 1 against a guy who had good finishing ability. So I think Carlisle's going to come in here excited. I could see him catching him in the first couple minutes. Other than that, I'd be very surprised. So definitely going with Billy Q. Yes, Titan FC on Friday. Good call. Definitely going to be tuning in for that.
Oh, I can't wait for that. I mean, let's touch base real quick on that. I think that's gonna be a great card. Danny Sabatello's fighting. Great up and coming out of here in South Florida. Yes. I'm really looking forward to see him fight. And it's great to have fights on Friday and on Saturday. So we got a lot of fights look forward to. So it's great to see some fights finally back on our television.
Amen. Great shout out in the comments there.
Can't wait for that. But next up in the women's flyweight division,
are we going to be talking about the Rodriguez fight with the new replacement?
I dropped that all the way down. That's why I didn't see it. I was going to keep going because I still had that where Kevin Holland was. It got switched. We could touch base on that Daniel Rodriguez fight.
Fucked up their order, so I'm on Tapology right now. So that's the only reason.
I totally forgot.
I have a lot to say about it. You want to just get out of the way now?
Yeah, we could. I mean, let's touch base on a fight that I probably don't want to touch betting wise. Let's do that. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, where a guy's gone from a plus 200 to a minus 370. You love to see.
Yeah, that's crazy.
See that yo-yo. But he is fighting a guy who's at 155. So we're talking about Daniel Rodriguez and Gabriel Green here.
Yes.
So it's being fought at 170, I believe, as of that.
170. Right now, Rodriguez is a minus 360 favorite, and a comeback on Gabriel Green, plus 300, who took this fight on about 4 days' notice.
Yes.
4 days' notice.
So basically, the question is, do you think that Rodriguez gets a finish or not? Because otherwise, there's nothing to really discuss. Do you know anything about Green? I honestly don't. I watched a little bit.
I know he hasn't fought in about 2 years. He has one. He's got one good win against Leon Shabazian at a catch weight. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I really don't see much about him. He fights out of a very small camp. Very small gym. I think it was Affliction. I don't even know where it's at. I think it's somewhere out in California, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Doesn't really have a ton of talent out there. I mean, he looks in shape from what I've seen on his Instagram. Mm-hmm. He looks pretty good at his striking. His striking doesn't look bad, but he's going to be undersized, definitely, by a good margin in this fight. Yeah. He's a 155er. Rodriguez is a natural 170er, 70-pound fighter. So, he's going to be much bigger. He's going to have more power. I just don't know. You can't. I can't bet.
He's been finished twice. He's been finished in his 2 losses, and one of which was the Jalen Turner in 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, that's true. So, yeah, I can't put my money on that guy.
Yeah, I think Rodriguez is definitely it. I feel comfortable enough to bet on him inside the distance, honestly. So depending on the price on it, and maybe I may add him to a parlay or two, but other than that, I don't see much to pick apart.
The only place I'm gonna have interest in Rodriguez is DraftKings, because he's probably gonna still be priced at 7,300, which is one of the cheapest fighters on the slate.
Yeah.
Because they did that on another card when someone got removed. So they just kept him cheap, super cheap. So that's definitely a guy that you're probably going to want to snatch up in probably every single one of your lineups, because he's going to guarantee you a win. Easy. So, but yeah, other than that, he's not bettable.
Yeah.
If it's 2.5 rounds, if the over-under is set at 2.5 rounds, I would take the under. I think that's great. You probably get, I think, decent odds. I don't even know. I don't think it's out yet, but if that happens, I like the under 2.5.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Let's move on to the women's flyweight division in a fight between Caitlin Chukagian and Antonia Shevchenko. Shevchenko is a -130 favorite, and the comeback on Chukagian is a +110 underdog. What do you got in this one?
Okay, this one is a tough one. I've been really back and forth on this because I don't really know how to anticipate how either woman's going to show up here, honestly. Like, I don't know if it's an advantage that Chukagian was preparing for Shevchenko and now she's facing an inferior Shevchenko, or if it's an advantage for Antonina since she'll have Valentina in her corner, have Valentina at the fights going, hey, we're going to hear all
Oh, my God.
Oh, my
God. That's going to be bad. That's going to be so bad.
We're going to hear a bunch of hot Kias and a bunch of A's.
I'm muting that. I'm not listening to that.
Yeah, that is a fight that is best watched on mute. Hopefully the judges are not influenced by noises, which happen in Chukagian fights. So to get to the fight, I am not confident in my pick either way. I'll be honest here. I'm going with Antonina just because I feel that her striking has a little more pop. I think she's a little more accurate, but she's less active than Chukagian, but a little more accurate. I have somewhat of a hope that she can keep this from going to the ground, which is where I'm kind of worried about her getting exploited. But I just think that Shevchenko, she's fought in the smaller cage before. She looked okay in it in their Contender Series fight. And, yeah, I'm going to take her to eke out a decision. I'm not confident in this at all. I don't have much of a read, so illuminate.
I'm actually bigger on Antonia than a lot of people are. I think she's very good.
Okay.
I think she's better than Chukagian. I don't see where Chukagian's going to really beat her in a kickboxing match. I don't see how that's going to happen, especially in a smaller cage. She is the more physical fighter as well. She's way better in the clinch, massively better in the clinch, way stronger in the clinch. She has absolutely great knees, great elbows in the clinch as well. Her striking is outrageously better than Chukagian. Chukagian, yes, throws a ton of strikes at 12.84, but she's landing 32% of those strikes. So she's not landing a ton of those strikes. You have Shevchenko, who's landing 4.9 strikes per minute, which is more than Chukagian, and she's landing 57% of her strikes. And she's only absorbing 1.92 strikes per minute, so with a 65% defense. So she's outstriking her opponents by 22%, which is out freaking outrageous.
Yeah.
Chukagian, on the other hand, -5% in her striking output.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, and the other thing I think that happened with Shevchenko having that name is a curse. You lose a close split decision loss to a woman who's fighting in a title eliminator coming up here and going to be the favorite in that title eliminator in Roxanne Ferry. She lost a split decision to her. So we saw how Roxanne made Macy Barber look. I mean, and so that Roxanne loss not quite as embarrassing as it was even a year ago. So, you made me feel a little better about my pick. I'm not going to be increasing it a ton here, but yeah.
I just think she's better. I mean, and having her sister who already beat her, already knows her tendencies, and where to look for strikes
for that entire camp too.
Oh yeah. Also, another thing that I didn't get into, that Antonina also had a full camp for this fight, whereas Chukagian did not. She had a short camp for this fight. Shevchenko was getting ready for a fight. Chukagian was not getting ready for any fight.
And
she just took this fight.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel better.
And I believe Shevchenko is training out of Vegas as well, so she doesn't need to really travel to Vegas. She's already there. Yep. So I just think everything's pointing in her direction. She's on the way up. I never thought Chukagian should have even fought for a title. She lost to JoJo. I don't care what anybody says. There's no way she should have won that fight. She's been outstruck by so many fighters over her career, and I don't see it going to be any different here against arguably one of the most decorated strikers in the division other than Valentina. She's still a two-time Muay Thai world champion, Shevchenko. So I don't see where she's going to win this fight. I give me Shevchenko all day, minus 135. I love it. She's probably going to be decision plus 100, I believe it's at, but I still like the 130 line.
Yeah. Just
definitely
stick with the 130 line. She can easily land the knee in that clinch and put her away.
Sure. Like, absolutely. I mean, you're talking about Chookagian just coming off a loss. Now she has a short camp going back and fighting her sister.
Chookagian coming off a loss where she chose to pull guard. Chookagian chose to pull guard. That's how much Valentina fucked her up. She chose. Yeah. That's crazy. Think about the props on that before the fight. Chookagian pulling guard, probably like plus 5 million. Like, no.
Yeah, and I don't see Chookagian being able to take, Shevchenko down at all. So I don't know what her path to victory is. I mean, she's 0 for 15 or 0 for 16 on her takedown attempts in her UFC career. So
yeah, I know she's got this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I've never seen her show any evidence of possessing it, but I know she has it. She has it.
She has it.
She uses it to keep her pants up or something because she's not using her submissions.
All right. Next up, I think it's in the.
Is it strawweight? Are we to the main card?
We're in the. I think it's a strawweight division between Mackenzie Dern and Hannah Cifers. Right now, Dern is the heaviest favorite on the card at minus 440, and to come back at Hannah Cifers is plus 350. Is this betting line? Correct?
No, I don't think it makes sense for me for a few different reasons. I don't think minus 400 is the price that makes sense to me. So I do, if I had to pick, I'd take Dern, but I mean, Cifers has faced some decent competition. She's just not great anywhere, though. That's her biggest problem. She's not very talented. Which is something you kind of need in the UFC. And Dern
she's just tough.
Yeah, she's tough. And Dern likes one-way traffic. When she's fought back against, she doesn't do well. So, I mean, I don't like my minus 400s to be to where if the fight isn't going exactly how they want into the one place they want it, they are basically a pick 'em. So I think on the feet, Hannah is better, or at least even with Dern. Maybe Dern has a little more power. A lot of people are saying, I've heard, but Dern's striking is like one single paw and then reach. Like that's her striking. So if Cifers has some experience in the smaller cage, if you want to gamble on Cifers, but I just think this is a fight that I'm not touching.
In a betting. You can't bet on Dern money line, so you have to take a prop. You either have to take her to win inside the distance at minus 140, or you take her to win in round 1 at plus 300.
That's a fair prop. I did not look into that one. I like that.
That's where I'm leaning towards, because the moment she gets Cifers against the cage, I know how bad Dern is at getting the fight to the mat. She will get Cifers to the mat. If she doesn't even get her to the mat, she will climb her and drag her any which way. She is getting Cifers to the mat. The minute she gets her to the mat, it's over. She's getting subbed. Like, Cifers is a fish out of water when she's on the mat. She has no idea what she's doing.
By Angela Hill.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about right there. Angela Hill dominated her on the mat. I've never seen Angela Hill ever do that to anybody.
I just block out both Angela Hill fights and I block out Hannah Cifers fights. I know I'm the one person not an Angela Hill fan at all. I am not.
She won that fight though. Sure. Won that fight.
Sure. Was I upset when I saw her get robbed? No.
I was. I missed on like a plus 300 decision prop. I was so upset.
I know. And it was the right call by all of y'all who were saying that before the fight too. Props to everybody who picked Angela Hill. I'm just not a fan. I'm sorry, but that's a whole. So I think I kind of blocked out that Angela Hill actually won a fight by ground and pound. Like
it was crazy. Like she looked like seamless. It was seamless for her transitions.
And then you're going to throw Cyphers into Mackenzie Dern.
Because a jiu-jitsu world champion.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's
why
I like a first round submission from her. I think it's plus 300 or plus 350, and then the under 1.5 rounds I think is plus money as well.
Yeah,
I mean, those are the two fantastic plays on that fight. And since you can't touch Dern money line, I think those are your two best bets. I'm taking Dern in the first round and the under 1.5 rounds. It's the only way I could see it.
That's amazing advice. I'm glad that I came on the podcast for that. That is good shit.
Yes. All right. Next up, we have a dog fight at I believe they're fighting at 155 pounds between Roosevelt Roberts and Brock Weaver. Roberts is a massive favorite, minus 350. They come back on Weaver is plus 290. Is this line correctly?
This is tough. I'm going to say yes, although the sticker shock on that price when you first see it, you're like, what? The guy who lost to Vince Purcell? Like, what the hell? The guy was not really shown too much yet in the UFC, if I'm being honest, aside from the Spider-Man guillotine against Daryl Horcher, who is Daryl Horcher. So, I was impressed with Roosevelt Roberts on the Contender Series and leading in. I still like a ton of his tools. I got pretty much the opposite vibe from Brock Weaver. When I saw him on the Contender Series, I wasn't that crazy about him. Like, I do know he got that win, but wasn't that crazy about him. Then when I saw him against Kasula Varga, I'm like, I'm out, dude. I'm out on this guy. I am guy. All these shots, all these bare knuckle wars, all these losses at different points of his career. I don't know if it's he got pieced up and bailed out by an illegal knee that even if Kasula didn't throw that, he would have finished him. Like, he was wrecking him. And he is so lucky to get that illegal knee. But that illegal knee still counts as all that damage to his fucking chin and his head. Like, that, those still count. That illegal shot still counts moving forward. And I think, I don't think that Brock Weaver's that good. And I think that Roosevelt Roberts is extremely talented and hasn't shown it yet. And this is the kind of opponent I expect him to show it against. I think he has his best performance. I am on the Roosevelt train here, even at the 350 price. I was disappointed to see it that heavy. I was hoping that people were going to kind of forget and get excited about Brock Weaver, and but they didn't. They got the price exactly correct, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, you're giving him 75% chance of winning, almost 80%, and that sounds about right. I mean, Weaver has shown us nothing other than he just likes to fight. Cool. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I think he's from Mississippi, so that's kind of like what they do around there. They just fight. I mean, I've seen his posts on Instagram where he's just boxing outside with a bunch of boxers in a boxing ring, and he's just getting lit the fuck up. I mean, he's one of the only people wearing headgear, and he's getting lit up.
Yeah.
And it's just everything about him. I just don't see him being a long-term UFC fighter.
Yeah.
And Roberts is pretty much better everywhere. I just don't like that he doesn't throw a ton of volume. I dislike that a lot about him. He's only landing 2.87 strikes per minute. So it's not the type of fighter I really like to, put my money on, especially if they're not wrestling, because he's not going for takedowns. He's just trying to stay at range and, use his jab and just pick his opponents apart, which he's been able to do. I don't know. I just don't like that. But here it should work flawlessly because he's just better. He's just a better fighter.
He's a better fighter. He fought a really big guy in Yakovlev in his last fight too. Yakovlev.
That was good. That was a good win. That was a very good win.
Yeah. So I don't think that Brock Weaver's a pretty thick, big guy. I don't think that size is gonna help Weaver here. And I just think the technical fighter here is gonna be superior. So
yeah. I'm gonna go with Roberts here as well. I just don't know I can't. Obviously, I can't bet him at minus 350.
Right.
So I think your best bet is taking him by decision, I believe. Where is it?
I mean, I would actually take him inside the distance myself without looking at the price though. I
You
would
think
take
he
him.
just gotta knock him out?
I think he's gonna knock him out, or I see him being able to wear him out and get a finish later on. I really do. I'm very confident in Roberts here. I do quite a few parlays, so he's gonna be a big piece of some parlays for me.
Yeah, I think you should anchor in majority of everybody's parlays. I think everybody should anchor.
Yeah.
Roberts.
So I mean, compared to, I do feel that 3 out of 4 times he wins this fight. So yeah.
Yeah, I think like 3.95 out of 4. Yeah.
Yep. I'm trying to be, a little bit, get my
3.99.
Start pulling up the 4 out of 5s. But
screw it. Make it 4 out of 4. He ain't losing Weaver ever.
There we go. Mark that down, dude.
100%.
There we go.
Roberts wins.
Quote.
Every time.
Quote.
All right. So next up, we have in the heavyweight division a fight between Blagoy Ivanov and Augusto Sakai. Right now, it's a very close fight. You have Sakai at minus 115. The coming back on Ivanov is minus 105. Who do you got in this one?
All right. Well, I think Blagoy is finally going to be a favorite in a UFC fight. Maybe. Could he possibly do it? Let's see. So this is another really tough fight to call.
This is actually one of the toughest fights for me to really call.
Sakai, honestly, I've been kind of impressed with him in the UFC, but also less impressed by his opponents he's faced. So Tabora looked like a trash bag coming into their last fight, and he fought like trash. He lost in under a minute or 50. Yeah, he lost in 59 seconds to him, and then Sakai had that split decision against Arlovsky.
He lost. He lost that fight. I don't care what anybody says. He lost that fight.
And that's what I see this fight looking a lot like, is just that crafty veteran who stays a little more active, keeps the fight a little more where he wants it to be, and just fights the Blagoy fight. I don't think that Sakai has the power to put Blagoy away. I think Blagoy Blagoy is going to be able to survive those first couple minutes where Sakai has the chance to finish him, and then Sakai is going to have his hands on his hips by the end of round 1. I think Blagoy is going to have the better cardio, be able to push the pace, push it against the cage, and get a Blagoy decision. That's what Blagoy does.
I hate betting on his fights, man. It has split decision written all over it, all over it. I don't want to bet on either side here.
I would bet on the over. That's it.
You bet the over 2.5, or you take the fight goes to decision at minus 150. I really like that line minus 150 for this fight to go to decision, because I think it's more than I would give it at least 7 out of 10. It will go to decision. At least 70%.
I think it's just I don't know how anybody can be extremely confident on either side of either of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to choose, I would maybe go Sakai, just because I like his volume a little bit better than Ivanov, but I don't know. Yeah. I can't choose, because it's with his fights. It's Ivanov. It's just he he shouldn't win and then he wins, or he should win and then he loses. I can never get his fights right. His last fight against Lewis, he definitely won, but somehow he lost a split.
Yeah, you look back at all Blagoy's fights, like the one against Rothwell, wasn't that super close too?
I think Rothwell dominated that fight. Every round I think Rothwell won, but Ivanov won. I was highly upset with that, because I think Rothwell really won every single round in that fight. At least 2 out of 3. He was the one being the aggressor. He was the one throwing all the heavy shots. He was the one that really put it on him, but I don't know what Ivanov did.
Ivanov has fought better guys. He has
definitely.
He knows how to win this fight. There's only one way that Sakai. I just don't see Sakai being able to form a decision win and just not have Ivanov leaning against him for such.
Yeah, I can see Ivanov really leaning on Sakai, and and
Fair
I mean,
enough.
isn't he a judo black belt or something like that? Doesn't he have that kind of background, no, he has a combat sambo background, so he does have actually sneaky good grappling. So if he does get Sakai down, he could wear him out fairly quickly.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't see Bugoy getting a finish, but that's just hard for me to imagine him being
I can't.
lethal. Like, I haven't seen that.
All 5'11" of him.
Yeah, he got stabbed in the stomach. His last finish was against, here's a name, Sean Jordan in WSOF. So remember Sean Jordan? Remember when he was a heavyweight prospect? He had that question mark.
That.
Yeah, remember Barry's. All right. So we agree again. Do we have any disagreements?
I don't think so. I was trying to disagree with you there, but I couldn't go really against, because this card, I feel like it's pretty straightforward.
It's interesting you say that, because we're getting to a main event that I got some.
Obviously, before we even get into that, I'm gonna be a little biased on my pick in this main event card.
Okay.
But let's get into that right now. In the main event, we have a fantastic fight. I've been waiting for this fight to finally come up in the welterweight division between Gilbert Burns and Tyron Woodley. Right now, Woodley is a -185 favorite, and the comeback on Burns is a +160 underdog. Who do you got in this one?
Whew. This is a great fight. I love this matchup. I love that Woodley took this fight. Props to Tyron. This is a no-win. He can only really lose in this fight type of thing.
Yeah.
If he goes in and does what he's supposed to do against a former 155er who's not fought anybody and short notice and blah, blah, blah. Or he loses to a guy he's not supposed to lose to, and, who he's better than in every position, basically. And so this is a really close fight to me in a lot of ways. And it comes down to really a lot of hard to predict aspects, in all honesty. It's Tyron's focus throughout camp and where he really wants to be, and basically how serious Tyron takes Gilbert for this fight, for me, is a huge factor. I really hope he's respecting Gilbert. Gilbert is not a young guy here. Gilbert's 33 years old. He's a grown man. He's been in this sport for a while. He's at his absolute peak right now. Tyron fears a little bit out of that peak. So, how much has Gilbert really improved or not improved? I'll be honest. When I first saw it, I was interested in betting Gilbert. I was thinking of betting Gilbert. I almost was picking Gilbert. I've just continued to kind of look into this fight a little bit more. Looked into where their strengths lie and how I envision this fight going. And I'm going to have to go with Woodley. I do think that Woodley's going to be able to catch him and put him away. But if it does go to 5 rounds, I think Woodley will be able to even navigate that. I get in the last fight, he looked flat. I don't expect to see that Woodley here. So,
Woodley's just going to miraculously come in and start throwing volume? The first time forever?
So I think Woodley's going to miraculously use his wrestling for the first time in a while here.
That I don't see happening.
That you don't see happening?
No, he will not. He will not want to engage with Gilbert Burns on the mat.
You think he's going to want to stand? Because I think Gilbert Burns' power is one of the things that really could end up.
See, that's the thing. I think it's dangerous everywhere for Woodley.
Mm-hmm.
I think Woodley needs a KO to win. I don't see how he's. I don't think he's going to be able to out volume Burns. I don't think he's going to be able to out cardio Burns.
No, yeah. What I did say is I saw a finish.
Yes, I definitely see that. That's definitely a possible scenario. I think Woodley by KO is +210. I think that is the most viable bet on Woodley.
Yes.
Screw a -185.
Yeah.
Bet him by KO +210. I think I think that's the best value if you're betting Woodley.
Yeah.
Because I think he needs that KO.
Yeah.
He needs it. And I think he needs it early.
Yeah, I just think Woodley has faced a ton of really good grapplers that have prepared him to feel comfortable in using his wrestling. That's the only reason I said I think we could see some wrestling out of Woodley for once. I think it's a smaller cage too. I think that Gilbert is going to be willing to go down with the takedowns, thinking that he has the advantage in the submission and grappling game. I think that Gilbert believes himself against anybody with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I think that Woodley can use that against him. I think the reason I said I can see a possible decision here is not volume. No, I do not expect that Tyron Woodley is going to become a volume striker all of a sudden. I just think Tyron is brilliant and so smart in his fight IQ, and I believe in Dean too. Dean knows how to come up with a game plan here, and I just think that Dean doesn't just have a game plan of you need to finish by a strike, otherwise we can't do it. And I think Tyron has more skills than he's been showing over the last few years. And I think that he comes into this fight in good shape. He looks like he's in great shape. From some people I've heard, he is taking this very seriously, and he's eliminated a lot of distractions. And he's to take a fight against Gilbert Burns, you only take that as a contender if you're hungry. Because I think Gilbert Burns is a guy who a lot of people up there when they get the fight are turning down, like a Stephen Thompson type of guy, or these other guys.
Yeah, you don't want to fight that guy, especially on short notice too.
And on short notice as that. Woodley is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt as well, and I do believe it's a legitimate black belt. I don't think it's one of these Chikagian black belts. So I think that Woodley is 38. It gives me some hesitation. Woodley is extremely reliant on a lot of his athleticism, but he has got that high fight IQ, and I think he shows it for the first time in a while here. And I'll take him inside the distance by KO, but I do see a way for a decision also. But I do agree that I like the play of inside the distance if I were making a play. I'm not going to have a ton of plays on the main event, honestly. Main events are one of my biggest Achilles heels, I'll be honest. Going back to my old podcast even, I just, for some reason, don't pick main events strong, although I got all three main events right of fight week last time. So I got especially Glover. That was the one I felt so good on.
I was a Smith, unfortunately.
That was a Glover.
That was crapshoot.
I was a lover for Glover, but here I don't feel quite as good in Woodley as I did in Glover. So that tells you my confidence in Woodley here. Just saying.
No, I got you. I mean, like I said, this is a buy.
We might be seeing the end of Woodley.
We could.
If he moves this fight, he's not. I don't see him fighting again. And if he does, it will be at 185.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, biased opinion. Gilbert Burns is arguably one of my favorite fighters in the entire UFC. Met the guy. He's probably one of the chillest dudes I've probably ever met as far as fighters go. He's cool as hell. Super down to earth, and his fighting style is just like something you want to watch. He's got his striking has gotten so much better. It's so electric, super fast. His kicks are heavy. He's got hands now. He's got some power at 170 pounds now, and obviously his jiu-jitsu is world class. And I just think he's just going to be just a bit better, just a step ahead of Woodley. I think he's going to be the fresher fighter. He's the one that's been more active. The last time Woodley fought was against Usman, and that was a year or two ago?
That was over. Yeah, so Usman was over a year ago. It was in March, I believe, March of last year. Yeah. Yeah,
that's a big time off. Well, Burns has fought at least 3 or 4 times since then, maybe even 5. Who knows? So that shows what kind of mental game that Gilbert's in, the physicality of him, and how his body is really responding to the fights, and he's putting guys away. He put Mayo away. The way he out scrambled Mayo was a thing of beauty. The way he got out, got up, and then he practiced that left hook moments before the fight even happened. I saw him in the back. He was working on that left hook because he knew Henry Hoof knew that was going to be his opening. That was going to be his kill shot. So I think he worked a lot for this fight. He's been campaigning to fight Woodley for a while now. So I think he's known for a while that he could beat Woodley. He has a team around him to help him beat Woodley. He has Usman, who's already beat him. He's had Lawler, who's already fought him. He has Henry Hoof, who's trained and cornered Usman to beat Woodley. So he's got everything in his in the momentum and everything. I think it's finally Burns' time to show what he's made of and finally show that he's worthy of being one of these top contenders at 170 pounds. And I can't wait for this fight. It's gonna be a phenomenal main event.
It's a great fight. And I think that whoever wins shows so much, and it's such a huge win for them. And I respect Woodley taking this fight. He didn't have to take this fight.
No.
And this is a dangerous one. One thing about Burns that, you kind of look at it, the guys who he loses to, and it's big, wider type of guys, the Prezarises of the world, Dan Hooker, Rashid Maga, these bigger, thicker, guys. Obviously, Dan Hooker's a very different fighter from Woodley, but Dan Hooker showed he can be put away with a clean shot in the first round. So, if Woodley lands clean here, I see him being able to put him away. So
he can. He absolutely has the power to do that. He could do that to anybody.
It's
just whether or not he's gun shy or not. I
have trouble seeing Gilbert being able to put him away. So I see Gilbert's path to victory being a decision.
Isn't that with every Burns fight? You're like, can he do it? Can he knock him out?
No, not really. I mean, I have faith in Gilbert Burns for his finishing ability quite a bit. I think with the Damian Villa fight, I probably had those same questions though. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. I swear I did not see that.
Yeah, I did not see that coming either. But then, you look, and Gilbert Burns has been able to navigate a decision out against Gunnar Nelson. That's a guy who fights, a similar type of skill set to Woodley. He went a decision with Shevchenko as well, I believe.
Yeah.
So he actually, for being a guy who has these lethal skills, often that gets you to be discounted as a decision player. He's not a bad decision player. I just haven't seen him in 5 rounds. So
this is true.
That I can remember. So I don't
think he's ever gone 5 rounds.
Yeah,
in UFC, he's never gone. This is his first main event. Yeah. So this is the biggest fight of his entire life, hands down.
And he's not close to the biggest fight for Woodley, which could be a better good thing. It's an interesting one, man. It's one I would love to be betting on the underdog in here.
That's where we're getting a good line. That's why I feel like I have to take Burns at plus 160.
I'm not going heavy enough. I'm not going heavy on Woodley at all. I just think he's just those intangibles and he's just.
I mean, he has it. I mean, if Woodley puts together what we know that Woodley could be and could do, he could wipe this out within the first couple of minutes.
Yeah, but we're gonna find out if that Darren Till fight was just kind of the last little sparks of once great,
Because, no, we really don't know.
Yeah, that may have just been the beginning of the end. Because it's I picked him against Usman. I did not see what Usman was doing to him happening, and now it's it's all I can see. And if Gilbert comes in and does another similar type of dominating decision, it's all we're going to be able to see out of a Woodley fight moving forward. It's
he might retire.
Right. If he gets worked like that again, he's done.
I don't think we'll ever see him again, or we will see him for a very, very long time. Because if he doesn't win, I think his head's out of the game. He's already doing acting. He's already rapping.
I'm trying not to believe that. I'm trying to take him at his word. Feels like his head's half out of the game already, and he thinks that it can be.
Yeah.
He's a lot of his interviews you're hearing, and I'm not talking myself out of this because I'm picking Woodley still, just not super confident. A lot of his interviews, he spends almost all of it talking about something besides fighting, and then talking about how he can do that, but other people can't. These rules only apply, and he keeps referring to his personal life. So I don't know what the fuck's really going on with that. But it's just like there's a lot of unknowns here.
He's not hungry anymore, man. He's not hungry anymore.
Or is he?
He's got the. I don't know. I just don't see it.
I feel like it's such an or does he just disrespect Gilbert this much that he thinks he didn't have to be hungry to take this fight? That's what we get to find out.
Maybe because we know that Gilbert Burns is extremely hungry. Absolutely. He wants it. He wants to fight for a belt.
Brother's been training with him, and they've both been very active lately. So, he's a killer.
Yeah,
man. He's a
killer. I'm definitely looking forward to that main event. But that pretty much wraps up this week's episode, everybody. With that said, so where can people find you on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook? So
so on
got
Facebook,
some questions.
Yeah, on Facebook, I used to be on quite a few MMA groups, but I've kind of limited my MMA groups over the time. I got a little fatigued on that community. If you're in those communities, you understand. But I'm Aaron J on there. So Jay is the last name. You can look me up on there. I'm always down to talk fights and everything like that. Hopefully I'll be joining you on these moving forward, and we can
absolutely
keep discussing some cards here. Otherwise, I'll be around. The fight cast that Fight Bonanza started to do, I've, popped up in those chats. Those are super fun. So, it's like a little fight companion. If you're at home during the quarantine looking for some people who actually know what they're talking about with fights, those are always good. But
definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
around.
Man. Yeah. Well, we will be back next week, probably or around the same time. I definitely want to go live again. I really like the live setting more than pre-recorded. I think it goes smoother. That's just me, and I like it a lot better.
Yeah.
So with that said, if you guys want to follow me, you can hit me up on Twitter at Fight Analyst or Facebook and Instagram, The Fight Analyst. Send me a message if you guys, got some questions. I'm always here to help you guys cash out at the ticket window. Mm-hmm. With that said, we will talk to you guys next week. Have a good night, and let's make some money. Talk to you guys later.
Peace.
Later.